We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. You're all welcome to today's edition of the Global Scholarship Summit 2020. I am Enida Diego, and I welcome you all to this session. I would like to introduce our speaker for today's event, Ms. Maryleen Ndubuaku. And before she comes on stage, I would like to share her citation.
Hello, I need.
So you have the floor now.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks, Enid. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So today we're going to be talking about how to maximize opportunities as a graduate student. So I'm just going to share my screen. Yep, just let me know if you see. Okay, all right, so the introduction has been made. Today we're actually focusing on maximizing opportunities as a graduate student. And when we talk about graduate students, I know maybe the focus is usually more on PhDs, but it really includes masters and PhD, although maybe some examples I might be giving could apply more to PhD students. So basically, I'll just walk you through how I've been finding my way through the maze of scholarship. And, sometimes you get to this point in your career where you're asking, what next? Like, what am I doing from here? I've gotten a lot of questions about that. Some people wanting to do or to make a career switch. Some people just not knowing like where to fit in. But for me, yeah, I started from, my bachelor's was in electrical and electronic engineering. And of course, I went on to me, this was actually like I would say my defining point, this conference I attended, because I was at that point where I was asking what next. So this whole electrical electronics engineering is so broad, and I wanted to know how to navigate to the next step. And when I attended this conference, I actually presented a paper as I was surveying the whole space of Internet of Things. So from there, I really loved that field, and I just decided to carry on with that career path. I did this data associate certification. I went on to do my MS.c in embedded systems. And I did a research internship as well. Yeah, so talking about opportunities, these are all opportunities that come along, and I'm going to go into that in detail. So conferences, attending conferences, finding opportunities to present at conferences as well, because this was my first ever paper, my first presentation actually, like, in that setting. And it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. Of course, at that point, I didn't know a lot when it comes to writing. I didn't even understand what plagiarism meant, in the real sense of that word. But, it's part of the journey. You grow, you learn, right? And so I've talked about the conference and the certification before I even went on to do my MS.c, because these are some of the information you would need along the way to make you make choices regarding your career. From this research internship, of course, I went on to do my PhD at the intersection of AI and IoT. And within that PhD, a lot has been happening, right? Because I'm not done, right? So a lot has been happening. I've attended several summer schools. I'm currently also an associate lecturer at the university, and a lot has happened. And I'll walk you through some of these opportunities I've assessed as a graduate student. So just stay with me. Let's go through this journey together. And if you have any questions as we go along, just type it out, and just drop it on the platform from which you're watching. And it would be later on, like towards the end of the presentation, would have time to go through the questions. Okay, the big questions as grad students usually ask, I ask myself that question, and I still ask myself that question because it's important you keep asking these questions and evaluating yourself as you move along to just make sure that what you're doing is really on track, is really, it aligns with your dream and aligns with your purpose. So, so the big question, what do you want out of grad school? What next after grad school? I remember my supervisor, when I started my PhD, was like, he usually has this conversation with his students about what they want to do out of life, like what they want out of, when they're done with their PhD, because it would help him to align them towards that path. So that's to make you understand that it's not every road doesn't lead to everywhere where you're going. You need to know the path, understand the path that would lead you eventually to where you want to go. So if you're at that point where you don't even know what next from here, you need to start asking that question, talking to people, that would help you at least get that sort of direction and focus. What next after grad school? What do I do with my life after grad school? A lot of people have completed their PhD or their grad school, and they didn't actually know what to do from there, and they were in that sort of state of confusion, really. Sorry, I think I have a chart. I don't know. I just want to check it, make sure everything is in order. I can't even access the chart. Is there something is everything going okay? Is there anything that I need to?
Everything is going on fine.
Okay, I saw something on the chat. Yeah. Sorry.
No.
Okay. All right. So grad students in Wonderland, they usually have that notion. Many people just think, okay, I'm in grad school, and for many, it's like, this is the career path. So even as you're doing a PhD, everyone is like, oh, you're going to be a professor. You're going to be a professor. Many people have that notion that, okay, this is the career path I want to follow. But is that really what it's obtainable in the real world? Well, we would see. The reality actually is that from statistics, you have only less than 3% of grad students really that end up becoming professors or taking that, eventually get to that career path. And what people don't understand is or most people don't understand is that we have so many other paths. So from your grad school, don't mind that I said PhD here, it's really like we're just really under that umbrella of grad school, right? It can take you to other career paths, right? So it could be industry, research and development, engineering, medical communication, or even some roles like market research analyst, business development manager, product manager, quantitative, because you've probably done some quantitative research, so you're very good with working with data, and data scientists as well, because when I sample data scientist jobs, I've found most of them mentioning they wanted masters and PhD, so they wanted people with that qualification. So that's to tell you that there are so many other career paths that you could actually follow, other than just ending up becoming a professor. If you want to be a professor, that's also good. That's, you can forge ahead on that path and try to get direction and mentorship in that area. Okay. So the truth is there are so many transferable skills you can gain during grad school. So many, we don't even know it. Like I think grad students really, they don't realize what they carry. We try to just play it low. We don't really know, but there is a lot. And the truth is, well, we'll come to that, but you find that as you go along, you need to begin to carve a niche for yourself, begin to find your voice. One area is your subject expertise. Come on, you're becoming an expert, like you understand this field. So you can do research for external bodies, you can do consultancy, academic publishing and journalism, even private tutoring, external examination setting and assessment. So that could be a part. Teaching, you've been exposed to teaching or being a teaching assistant, supporting students, whatever the case, being a demonstrator. So those skills, you can bring them into whatever career. So you somehow, and in this day and age when e-learning has become like the thing now, right? You can bring in your expertise and your experience in that area. So it could be addressing peers at conferences, one-to-one coaching, even training. So some form of teaching expertise that you can bring into a role. Interpersonal skills, you've really been exposed to negotiation. Sometimes you have to negotiate resources and things like that. And working teams, that's also something you've been doing. So you probably have worked in a research lab, you worked with somehow, even working with a supervisor. That itself is, you've really worked under some form of supervision. And for some of us that maybe you have 2-3 supervisors, you need to manage relationships and expectations. So that's also a skill. Of course, management skills, time management being one. You've learned how to manage a project, and within a project, you've managed your time, you've managed resources, limited resources, like, you've managed resources. So those are some skills you bring into grad school. And one thing that is really important when we talk about maximizing opportunities is for you to understand what you're actually doing, like what you're doing, where you're going, and why you are doing it. This author said, find your why, right? So understand why. Why am I doing it? What I'm doing? And sometimes you might be in a place that doesn't really make sense at that point, but it's for you to begin to ask those questions. Finding purpose in whatever it is you're doing. Some people would say, but I didn't really like this program. I just did it because I didn't have any other option. I just wanted to get out of the country, or I just wanted to, there was a scholarship, and I've seen people who say stuff like that. There was a scholarship and I just, wanted to have something doing. And I went on to do this program, or I couldn't find a job and I just went on to start my master's or my PhD. The truth is, even within that, you can still find something to hold on to as to why you should be doing what you're doing at that point. And again, you need to identify the missing piece, because sometimes we get lost in what we're doing. So we're doing very complex research, but then we don't understand how that fits in, how that, like a puzzle, how that piece fits in to really make up the whole picture. So how can you use your research to change the world? And I know when I say change the world, I'm not talking about discovering a new planet. Well, if you do that during your research, awesome. But it's really about finding that thing, that very little thing that can actually, in research, we say you are adding to the body. There's already a body of knowledge and you're just like adding something to it. So think about that. How does your research make any difference? What's the bigger picture in your research? What's the bigger picture? So you may be studying a particular cell, or you're just improving an algorithm, an existing algorithm, but you need to look at the bigger picture. Like if you're to zoom out, what's the bigger picture? Because it's going to help you find your community. It's going to help you find your voice as well. And again, how does your research fit, of course, fit into the big picture? So you need to understand how all this fits in, because it would help you. Again, you need to understand who the key stakeholders of your research are. I'm going in this direction because, I'm trying to set the scene here. We're talking about maximizing opportunities, and I'm really starting from research, but this applies to your career as a whole, right? Because whatever you're doing, I don't believe my research should be disconnected from my entire career path. I would like it to really, fit into the whole, and I would like to connect the dots so that there is no missing link. So in your entire career, where does that research fit in as well? So who is going to be influenced or affected by what you're working on? Are you doing something like a gender related thing? So it's like, okay, you're doing this for women, or you're doing this for a particular group of people who are suffering from a disease, So whose life is going to change from what you're working on? Who needs to change something to allow your work to thrive or find expression? That's also important, because you might find that your work could be disruptive, and or for it to actually work, maybe what you're doing at that point is sort of a bit hypothetical at that point, or theoretical rather. But some things need to change for that to come alive, for it to find expression. Who's the end user of your work? It's going to be the end user at the end of what you're doing. And another important point is, if your work can be translated to a product or service, what would it be? Who will use it? Over the years or previously, universities were not really interested in this kind of question, right? It was more about just come to school and just learn. Or there was like a gap, and it all seemed like academia and industry were two worlds apart. But now we're beginning to realize that there is a handshake going on. This is mutual. Both are rubbing off on each other. So whatever is happening in the academia, this AI and machine learning we hear about, this is something that the research started, it was even more like maybe neuroscience. It started way back, So, and now because we have like high performance computing and all of that, it seems like everyone is like a buzzword, AI, ML. But truly, that research started off from the academia side, and it's trickled down to industry. So you need to understand that as well. Then I'll come to this point now, finding your voice, right, and carving your niche. So, I've heard a statement like, really in this world, it's not like maybe there's a room waiting for you and you just go in and take your space. You need to create that room. You need to create that room. And the good thing, research makes you understand that sometimes there are problems, but people don't even realize that there's a problem. So even when, let's say, you're writing a paper, sometimes your reviewers would say, well, this is your methodology is good, your results are good, but the problem is not well defined, it's not clearly defined. So you would define the problem. So the same way you have to carve your niche, you have to make room, find your own room. So what's one thing you're passionate about regarding your research? And we're not even limiting it just to research here or to your graduate program, but life in general. What's one thing you're passionate about? What's one message you want to come out of your research? So at the end of what you're doing, I remember that was, I think in my second year, that I was asked a question that just shook me a bit. And that question was, what's your research question? So, okay, I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew what the question I was trying to answer. But then, what's your research question? And then I was like, okay, because my field is not that typical field, computing. So you might just be doing stuff, designing this algorithm and all that. I didn't have hypotheses, so null hypotheses and those kind of stuff. So I don't know. I was like, okay, what's my research question? And I had to think long and deep about it, because it really helped me to, this is the central message. So anything I'm doing has to tie to this. Anything I want to work on, I need to go back to that question. Like, is it helping to answer this question? You see? Yeah. So what's one message you want to come out of your research? Right. And that's an answer to that question you've posed. How are you going to communicate that? Very, very important. And I think that graduate students, we tend to we think, okay, maybe it's when I become a professor that I will start to lend my voice to that conversation. But you don't have to wait till then. Like I said, you have to start making room. You don't need to wait for some validation or to wait for, when you get to that ideal state. You need to start now, because you keep building on, you lay the foundation and the building block. And the good news is that there will be few people on earth, right, that know so much or have as much passion about that topic as you. That's true, because you've really given yourself to that field. You've committed yourself to study. You're becoming an expert and authority in the field. So maybe it could be renewable energy, you're doing something in renewable energy. And the world is talking so much about that today, or climate change. So why are we not hearing your opinions about that? Right. So make room. I'll give an example from the Bible, like from scripture. When Isaac was, he went to sow, or he went to dig up a well, and they said, oh, this is our well. And he went somewhere else, there was a contention, and they said, this is our well, and he abandoned it until eventually he dug a well and there was no contention. And he said, Rehoboth, the Lord has made room for us in this place. So you need to get to that point where you like, okay, you kind of make a room for yourself, because no one is going to make that room for you in this world, like no one. So stop waiting for validation or waiting for when you get to a certain position to start making impact, to start making a room for yourself. Even if the position there was a position I was searching for recently, and I didn't find it on the internet. I didn't find it. I checked on LinkedIn. I didn't find anyone with that title. I said, okay, well, let me just turn that down, because that might just be me starting off. That people just form, oh, AI specialist, oh, this one. And someone just takes on that title. And from there, you start, before you know it, they're like, okay, certifications to become a professional in that field. These are things people do, and you can actually be a trailblazer in that line. I'll give an example. This lady, Joy, very interesting work she's been doing. And it was actually from her master's. In case you think, okay, maybe it's PhD only. This is from her master's. She was working on algorithmic bias, coded bias, and looking at how, the facial recognition systems we have are sort of biased towards people of color and gender. So that means the Black female, like the algorithm had worse accuracy on Black females. And that was a research she did. She took it out on Amazon, IBM, and some of those companies. And, it really made news, right? So it's just all about, finding that niche. And she's carried on along that path, even in her PhD. So it's just all about finding that little corner that you start lending your voice to and carry on in that line. Okay, so now we would get to the meat of it, right? Grad school, for me, it's a time there's so many things, right? And that's why I started from the place of finding your why, because maybe some of the things that I did might not be right for you, right? Or some of the things I'm doing might not be right for you because that's not your direction. That's not the area of your purpose. So it's not like dispersing your energy everywhere, like doing everything. No, it's just all about finding the things that are going to help you along that path to get to your desired career, or to get to your expectation. So some of the things for me, I feel grad school is for. It's an opportunity, it's a time to learn, to deepen your knowledge, of course, because you don't want to come out and you don't even know anything. You don't understand the theory of what you're doing, or you don't understand really. You don't have that solid knowledge in what you're doing. It's a time to develop transferable skills, whether for academic or alternate career. I still don't know why they call non-academic careers alternate careers, because from statistics, it's looking like those are actually becoming the main careers. So, or they're assuming that because you're doing a PhD, you should end up as an academia, forgetting there are so many transferable skills. There's so many skills you can gain from grad school. So it's a time to develop transferable skills. I'm speaking to you right now. Some years back, I couldn't just, if I was face to face with you, I could have just been face to face talking, but I couldn't just be this confident, speaking to you, right? I was at that place where no, nobody would want to listen to me, or I didn't really even believe in myself. So, and over time, by giving presentations over and over, having meetings, talking about my work, getting asked critical questions, and all of that, it's been helping. And I'm not even there yet. I'm getting there, right? So it's been helping to shape me, to build my skills. So there are many skills, communication skills. There are so many different skills, writing and all of that. We'll come to that. It's also a time to build people, impact lives. So I'm one person that believes that, I don't, whatever my promised land is, I don't have to wait to get there to start shaping lives, or to start impacting upon lives. I could start from where I am right now, because where I am, I know is an answered prayer to some persons wherever they are right now. And I know that there are some people that I'm looking at. This one, I want to get there. So where they are is going to be an answered prayer for myself. But I wouldn't wait till I get there to start lifting other people up. So you also build your network, right? Build your network. No man is an island. So you need to start building your network. Also, it's a time to develop expertise in a particular area, finding your niche, as I've said, receiving mentorship as well. Even having been under a supervisor is already some mentorship, and you need to make the most of it. Don't feel entitled. Also, forging collaborations. So there are opportunities to collaborate in different forms and capacity. And it's a time to volunteer as well and help the community. So there are things you can do, some volunteering you can do along the line. Okay, now let's get back here. So I've been talking, giving this general stuff, but I just thought when it comes to maximizing opportunities, I don't want to just give you a list of these are the things. I want to also share my experience so I can walk you through what the journey has been like for me. And the journey is going to be different for everyone, but it's just for you to have this awareness that these things are there, and whatever appeals to you, you can reach out and grab it. Deepening knowledge. So I didn't even know there was anything like summer school. Previously, I didn't know that there was something like that. And in my field, I didn't even know that you could get scholarships to attend summer schools. But it's something that I've done. I've done like seven summer schools since I started my PhD, and that's taken me to several different countries. Before the pandemic. Yeah, so it's a time to deepen your knowledge, some courses. Actually, interestingly, there's a course I assisted in teaching, and that I wanted to take that course as a PhD. You can take some courses, although here in the UK it's not compulsory. I wanted to take the course, but luckily I was then asked to support students in the course. So I was literally learning and teaching and getting paid. So that's to tell you that there are opportunities. So even within the university, there are some courses you can assist. In assisting, you're being mentored by the course leader. You're learning and you're helping students in that course as well. So that's one bit. So this was Norway. This was Germany, and some others. Of course, developing soft and transferable skills, right? So technical writing skills, you're going to be writing papers. So if you have opportunities to write papers, don't shy away. I'm not good at writing. I'm still learning how to write, English is not my first language. I'm still learning. I've had to attend academic writing classes, English international students in English classes. I like a full semester I attended, and my eyes were open. I was like, I didn't know this thing, subject verb agreement. I was always making those errors. Subject verb, I still make them sometimes, So definitely there's room to improve. Even if you feel like you're very good at it, there's room to improve. Presentation, you're going to be making a lot of presentations. Communication skills, confidence, and public engagement. So those are some skills. It was last year that I did the 3-minute thesis, thanks to Kelechi, because Dr. Kelechi, he was the one that really, really encouraged me along this path. That's why finding people that support systems are very, very important. So I did this 3-minute thesis, and I won. I won the university's People's Choice and overall winner for that year. So it's just 3 minutes, but that 3 minutes, I know how many times I rehearsed. I mean, it really, really helped me a lot. It really helped me, being able to talk about your research in 3 minutes. That's really very difficult, because it got me really thinking, what's the most important thing? That's why I started from, what's the message about your research? What's the bigger picture? Not just the algorithm, but what's the bigger picture of your research? So this helped me to answer those questions. Expand professional network. That's Jan LeCun. He's one of the godfathers of AI. Yeah, so you expand your professional network through conferences, workshops, events, engaging with communities, online communities, social platforms. There's so many. We have LinkedIn now, and by the way, I think there was someone who said, "Oh, you are LinkedIn queen," and I was laughing because I remember when I actually started using LinkedIn. That was, I think, 2014. So then for me, it was just like, okay, just put your stuff there. I didn't even realize you could really have conversations there, and build a community. So, but for me, what actually got me to really making the most of that platform was, I thought, when I started my blog, right? I started blogging about studying abroad, my PhD journey. I thought, okay, I could actually use this platform to share. And I just saw, okay, I didn't want to just talk about something that was only interesting to me, but I wanted to reach out. So that still comes back to impacting lives. And you would impact lives in different ways, because I'm someone that believes that whatever you have, whatever giftings, expertise, it's not just for yourself. It's actually for others, because you benefited from the giftings of others. So you have those things to also reach out and share. So, and that was really how it all started. That's why once you have really the heart for people, that heart to impact, and you are consistently doing it, you find avenues to do it. You're really going to the room you're looking for. It would be discovered along the line. So I've already mentioned some opportunities I've accessed, the summer schools, and some of them with scholarship. I've been a lead teaching assistant during Neuromatch Academy. So I've attended summer schools. And for this one, I was almost registering as a student again. I was like, wait, okay, from the experiences I've gained, I can assist in teaching. And I went for it, and on top of just being a teaching assistant, I was made a lead teaching assistant. So I was in charge of 8 teaching assistants and a pod of students. I was also co-facilitator for Alan Turing Data Study Group. So there you have like communities like this, or events where you might be required to work in a team. There was also the R&D seminar, Procter and Gamble. Sometimes as well, you'd have these career fairs, or you have initiatives where companies really want to catch them young, catch them fresh from university. So look out for those opportunities. And of course, associate lecturing. I'll talk about that as we move along. So one thing I also discovered during my PhD was, you might think that, okay, I already have a scholarship, I'm already studying, so there is no room for scholarship. But within your PhD or within your grad program, you're going to, if you look out for it, you'd find opportunities in your field, research fellowships. I know of the ones in my field. So you're going to find scholarship. For example, those diverse intelligences. So my institute, now I'm a DC fellow, and it was all about, okay, we are sponsored to attend this summer program, and it was really awesome because it was multidisciplinary as well. So people from different disciplines talking about the future of intelligence and all that. Self-development. In my university, we had the Be the Boss program. So for those that are interested in self-employment, and it was really, really good. It was free, like not free as free, sponsored by the university, right? So these are some programs, but you have to look out for them, because I didn't know it was there. I had to look out for it. That's what I'm trying to do, to open up your eyes to these possibilities. There was also masterclass writing. I told you that I've had to take some English writing, because I don't feel, oh, I know English. No. When it comes to writing, that's when you know whether you know English or not. And it's all about improvement. I always want to, I know how many times I check up words in the dictionary. I want to say something, I'm like, does it make sense? And I go to the dictionary to check of the words. And because I've been writing as well, I've been blogging, so I do a lot of writing. I'm not even there, but these things help me to improve my writing. You could even have seminars in the university, seminars. Within my graduate program, when I was doing my master's, I also attended, so that was like a writing class, and that really helped me to understand plagiarism. And I didn't know what plagiarism really was until I started my master's here in the UK. So that made me understand plagiarism, how to paraphrase, not copy and cite, but paraphrase, referencing, all those things. Those are things you would learn, opportunities that you learn along the way, and seminars, career seminars and all that would help you. Don't just box yourself. It was those, maybe if you were doing that in undergraduate, like I just want my GP, I just want my grade point average. But now, come on, you need to start thinking beyond grade points and distinction and think about the future, like how you're shaping yourself for the future, because those are some of the skills that you would need later on in life. Volunteering as well. Okay, so volunteering is also, it's helpful. My university had this marketing rep, although some were paid, some were unpaid, but you get to, it improves your skills as well, your sales skills and presentation skills. I was a PGR rep, so that helps if you're interested in policy making and public service, those kind of stuff, or decision making, how things are shaped. So that's a place to be. Conference. So I've also, so in this picture, it was myself and co-organizers of the PGR conference. So you have opportunities to volunteer, and also other volunteering that I've done. It really helped me in that line. Again, public engagement. So I've been asking this question: how do you give back to the community? How can you impact with your research, with your knowledge and skills? I've done these. So this was a work with Access Ed, and I really loved it because it really speaks to what I love, and that is one thing I'm passionate about: improving access to quality education. And this was really helping to reach out to underrepresented groups in secondary schools to improve access to university education. So I've tutoring. So I've talked about the teaching assistantship. So this was my class. We were doing like an icebreaker, and eventually this was the certificates from the teaching assistant program. So I was lead teaching assistant. So I had an extra cool badge here as lead CA. Lecturing. So I didn't know about this associate lecturing. I actually thought, okay, as a PhD, you're not really at that level where you can even start lecturing or something within this environment. Or I was surprised. I was surprised, and I was really, really pleased as well. So you need to understand that there are opportunities there. There was a lady that was saying that associate lecturing positions are not typical positions that you just look out for adverts and you get interviewed for in the normal role, but you need to go out to seek for it. So sometimes there might be a need, there may be a gap. There is always a gap in most universities. There's always that gap, and they're looking for people who are going to help to fill that gap. And now that we're having like online programs as well, currently I'm doing purely online. I'm in the University of Derby online learning program. So I'm teaching a module in the MS.c Big Data Analytics. So that's, there are opportunities there. So just keep an eye out for it. And in conferences as well, networking. So this was a conference. And another one, my paper was, I was a finalist for Best Student Paper Award. So attend conferences, meet people. You can find collaborators from there. There are also speaking engagement that you can be involved with. I was at the Alliance Manchester Business School here, and it was through a professor that I met in one of the summer schools. So I kept in touch, and he invited me to give this seminar. This was also another seminar a professor I still met during the Women in Machine Learning conference, and he also invited me to University of Cambridge. So you have these kind of opportunities. There's also team working. I talked about being an Alan Turing data study group facilitator. And those are some trainings that you're going to get that would help you later on in life. So that's my awesome team. And there are always opportunities to give back, to mentor, to share, and to impact, right? So for me, I've been fortunate to find myself in this environment studying and having the kind of education I dreamt for. I also want to have that opportunity to help others access such quality of education. And I'm also passionate about AI and IoT, knowledge revolution, digital transformation. So those are the things I try to champion in my own little way and every given opportunity I have. There are also other opportunities. I've talked about research fellowships. I know some in my field, and in your field, you need to look out for things like that. There is recently there was a Schlumberger fellowship that was specifically for women who are doing their PhD. So those are, you don't think, oh, it's only when I'm here to start my PhD. Even within the PhD, some of these fellowships, or within your grad school, some of these fellowships are accessible. Sometimes you might have competitions as well within your field, and job fairs, industry internships, that's a big one as well. So you might want to, even if it's not a part of your program, but if you want to maybe do it part-time, it's possible as well. You can, industry, they're always looking out for interns, and university students are always a good option. And make sure you enjoy it while it lasts, right? Now there is COVID, and I can only relish the memories. Enjoy it while it lasts. Your small group, make contacts, make friends, and have fun. Enjoy it while it lasts. So one of the best induction advice I received actually at the start of my PhD was the university usually organized induction. And I gave this talk during the doctoral inductions. I was now speaking to new PhD students about my doctoral journey. And for me, it was that the PhD is not the thesis you submit, but the person you become at the end of the journey, the doctor. So it's not that book, that 250 or 300 page or whatever, maybe 50, 100, whatever the size. It's the person you become, because that's the person that's going to go into the market. That's the person that's going to go into the world, and you kind of carry on from there, forge a career for yourself. So those are the skills that are going to really come in very handy. So make sure that every opportunity you have to grow, to develop along the part of your passion, make sure you utilize it. So that's really like the message I want you to take away. Make the most of every opportunity that would help you in your path, in your career path, in your dream career. So let's connect, right? We're talking about networking now. Let's start the practice. Let's connect. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter. You can also check out my website, my blog, where I talk about everything inspirational that would help a scholar or an aspiring scholar. So I talk about scholarships, studying abroad, financing your studies, or even as a PhD or as a grad student, some opportunities as well. That's just sharing experiences about how I've been able to. So maybe sometimes it's about how did I get this opportunity? How did I go about getting this scholarship and things like that. So I share all that there, and as well, I'm available on Instagram. So I think, wow, I'm right on time, 45 minutes. Okay. Wow, good. Time management. You see, that's what grad school teaches you. So now I'm available. I'm all yours for questions. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Maryleen, for that beautiful presentation. Like, I just feel like doing my PhD right now.
Oh, come on.
I really want to do my PhD right now. From your experience, I saw that you really enjoyed your graduate journey, your graduate school journey, and you maximized every opportunity that came your way. Wow. So I want to ask you, while you were on that journey, did you experience some kind of cultural shock? How did you react to it?
Culture shock. Okay. Yeah, definitely culture shock. One of the very other many culture shock I experienced was the language. Right. I remember when I started my master, I was always like having that fear. Would they even understand what I'm saying? Would they even understand my accent and all that? So that would then, when I'm in class, so initially, right, I'll be in class and I might want to ask questions. I'm like, should I ask? But over time, I just realized, well, we also had other international students, so I'm not alone in this. And I also realized that, wow, like we speak good English as well. I mean, come on, we were taught starting from primary school, nursery English. So there's no issue with our accent. It's just all about being able to speak clearly, and understandably, really. So for me, that was like one of my main culture shock. And weather. I've not come out of that one yet. Yeah, the weather as well. The cold weather was another thing. And another shock for me, I don't know if I'll call it a culture shock, but when it comes from the academic side was, oh my God, yeah. In Nigeria, you used to sir. Like your professor, like, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
You don't even get to meet your professor. If you meet them, it's a big privilege. So like, it was really a shock to me, even getting used to not calling sir and ma. And calling people by their first name. That was a big shock. And again, another thing was communication. Because, I was coming from an environment where, like, you have to fast and pray before you even go to your lecturer to say, sir, like, can I speak to you about my study? I'm having, who are you? Who born you? Well, this one you can send an email. So sometimes, even if I send an email and I've not gotten a reply, I'll be like, the normal way in Nigeria is just don't bother them. Like, don't bother. Well, I was told, keep pressing. Like, it's your study. You need to take your destiny in your hands. So keep pressing. You send a reminder and a reminder. Now, like, I don't even mind sending you a reminder every day. Like, once I need something. But then it was like a struggle. So that was another struggle. Let me just stop there. So.
Wow. There's a question from somebody. It says, can I do direct PhD from BS in the UK?
Okay, good question. I've gotten that kind of question before. So it's possible, as I've seen people who took that path, so from bachelor's to PhD directly. But so far, I've really seen more of people who have studied here in the UK. So So I know someone who studied here in the UK and went on to in the same university. So had a supervisor who was interested in his line of research. So they just wanted to work together, and there was some funding that was available. So it just carried on with the supervisor. But if the person is maybe finishing, because I really wanted that for myself as well, bachelor's to PhD. That I looked out for it, but when I made those inquiries, they were like, you need to have a master's. So most of them require you to have a master's. And in the case where you finish your bachelor's, I've seen like you finish your bachelor's in the UK with a first class. It's usually easier, but maybe it's not impossible if you're coming from Nigeria per se with a first class. But when it comes to other countries like US, I've seen people really bachelor's to PhD from Nigeria directly. But in the UK, I don't have that statistic, so I wouldn't say, but it's something worth trying as well. Because the thing is, when PhD in the UK is really, especially for international students, if you want to get studentship, full funding, it's super, I would say it's really competitive. You know, for me that even finished doing my master's here, I know the struggle, right? So that having that added layer of, okay, this is, if you have a master's, it kind of gives you that edge as well. So that's where having done a bachelor's in the UK university and you have like a supervisor that is willing to work with you, or you've made the contact that can actually really cushion, like make it easier for you. Yeah. So, but it's something also worth trying if you can make the right contact and you go through the right channel. Who knows? You could be lucky.
So information is key here.
Mm-hmm. It is.
So during your graduate study, did you ever feel like giving up? What kept you moving?
Oh my God. I'd say that I think in my grad study, so for my master's, the most challenging part for me during my grad study was my master's. Starting from my master's, it was my project. You know, my project, it was challenging. It was I was working in a field, so I wanted to my supervisor was more of an expert in wireless communication, while I wanted to because I wanted to really keep that, IoT, AI parts. I wanted to keep that connection. So I still wanted to use machine learning to solve problems in the wireless communication. So, but I didn't have that expertise around me at that point. So it was really challenging, breaking through. And for my PhD, I think for me was actually the point where, because I had challenges with, my supervisor moved university, and that was really like a low point in my PhD because it was a shock. Talking about shock, culture shock. This one is research shock, academic shock. Yeah, it was a shock to me. But one thing that helped me was to just have that PhD going, that regardless of what's happening around my environment. And when I spoke to the new doctoral students, I talked about adaptability, being able to adapt. So things are going to happen, but just make sure that focus you have on the project, that this is the project, this is the end points that you want to get to. Just make sure that you keep it going. So that's what I did during those points, and it all got sorted eventually.
Wow. So at what point did you realize your pathway? Do you know that this is the path I want to follow? What inspired you? What happened?
Okay, so if I go to the start of the presentation, I talked about, it was here. This was my defining moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so I remember going to my undergraduate supervisor, and she showed me this call for paper. And I remember she said, what can you do? She just gave me the flyer. What can you do about this? I remember that question. I was like, I knew nothing. I was even wondering, why is she asking me, what can I do about a call for paper? I don't even know what's there. But then I took on that challenge and went on to work on, a paper for the conference. So I looked at surveying the Internet of Things in Africa, the challenges, opportunities. So from there, and even attending the conference and hearing other experts talk about IoT. So for me, that was, I told myself, like, this is it. This is Eureka. Wow. And that's why I mentioned that it's really important to surround yourself with the right people, to surround yourself with, so find experts. So don't just use social media to just start, just post pictures and all that. Find people, connect with people that can, at least you can follow their path as well. So the kind of things they share, it kind of gives you a sense of what the future might look like for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much,
Welcome.
Maryleen. It's been a beautiful session. AI is also something I think I would want to explore. I would like to apply it to the food chain. And I believe there are opportunities for that.
Awesome.
Then
Yeah.
there's a question from someone else. It says, as everything and everyone is focusing on AI, how would those in the arts and social science connect to this field, to the AI, in order for them not to be left out in the trend of AI?
Wow, that's really an interesting question. So I think I preached this message that that AI data science, or let's just call it data literacy, it is not optional right now, just the way everyone became sort of internet literate, right? Because you needed it, you can't do without it, so you have to learn how to use it. So we are getting to that age where data literacy is not going to be optional for any field, because you need it to stay on top of your game, of your career game. And that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone now have to leave their career. So doctors now leave and become data scientists. Everyone. No, that's not what it means, because even in the whole, so I shared something about data science. There is the statistics part, there is the programming, but there's also the domain knowledge, right? So if you look at AI as like a top-up, an enhancer to your field. I've attended summer schools where I've met people from music. Wow. Music? Yeah, music, medicine, different fields. So there is, you could actually then look at it. So you bring in your domain expertise. Oh, you're an arts person. How can you use it to enhance? How can you use it to kind of improve your process? Because the whole idea behind AI to maybe automate, to get better insights, or to even make the work easier for humans to help in decision making. So if you can identify those repetitive, boring things in your field that can be automated, then you're good to go. It frees you up to now focus on more high level, complex things, and that gives you more productivity.
Wow, interesting. So the AI and IoT field is all compassing. It can be applied across any field.
The question is there data?
Okay.
Can you think of data in your field, right? And just tell me one field that data is not involved. The funny thing is, even when there is no data, you can use AI to generate the data. For example, we're using AI now to create in the creatives, right?
Yes,
so
yes.
Paintings and even music, we're using AI to generate sound. So it's all about how to because no one's going to take away creativity, human creativity. Like no AI system has been able to beat that yet, right? So there is still that room for creativity. Like you as the human in the loop, thinking of how you can use it as a tool to improve your process. So if you can look at it that way, then you wouldn't really be afraid of it. You wouldn't be afraid of AI, just the way people are afraid of internet, like the mail, the fax systems. Some things are going to either they upgrade, they innovate or die. Really, that's what they use. So some things might be left behind, but you don't want to be. So think of how you could use it to even improve your profession.
Yeah.
What I would say.
Wow. So the next question is, do you think there's any demerits of AI? Do you think it would negatively really affect humans in any way?
So one thing I talked about this coded bias. So this lady, she was looking at AI. Those are AI systems, right? Facial recognition systems, and they've been trained on data, and the kind of data that's been collected. So the data has not been very representative. Maybe the data has been collected more of white males, white females, and maybe some of black males, but not much of black females. So what happens? You train an algorithm in putting, it has this inherent bias, coded bias, that's what you call it, algorithmic bias and all that. Bias coming from your data. And you train this model. So it's garbage in, garbage out. What you feed it, it's what you will get. At the end of the day, you now have an AI system that is really biased. And it's happened, even at Amazon. Amazon, they had this this system, this CV sort of tracking or CV system, HR, this HR expert systems where they put in some AI. And what it was doing was it was favoring the male candidates over the female, because over time it's been trained on data that, and it might be funny, but in language, in expression, even in CV, you can detect differences between a male and a female, right? And for those of us that maybe went to girls' school, even like girls' secondary school, so you're not seeing so many of the girls. You're like, girls will not be good CEOs. So you don't, it kind of gives them a negative weighting, right? So those are some demerits that are really obvious, the bias. And some of those biases represent our human biases as well. When we're talking about gender bias and racial bias, some of these things, we are encoding it into the AI system. So they will now become the monster that we create. Yeah.
Wow, so impressive. You talked about going to a girls' school. I know you don't know this, but we went to the same secondary school. Pro Unitas. Federal Government Girls College, Owerri.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, so pleased to meet you here.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. I also want to thank our participant for joining us. So do you have any final words for everyone? And another question is, are you open to mentorship?
Okay. All right. So final words. It's really captured in the title. Okay. Maximize opportunities. So, don't just think that there is no room for you or there is no place for you. There's really something, even if it is just one thing, like there's something that makes you unique and different. So try not start using that thing to impact that. Start using it to reach out, and in everything find your why, find why you're even doing that research and how you can, how it can fit into the big picture of your life. Yeah. And maximize every opportunity that you have, as you've seen, and many more. Maybe I'll start learning from your others that existing. Then regarding mentorship, I I am. That's the simple answer. I've been, opportunity to mentor several people. The whole vision, because I just believe in, like I said, there are people that where I am now is an answered prayer to them. So, and I want to learn as well. Really, like I believe mentorship is all about learning from others and just give and take as well. So there are things you've learned from the mentee, and there's something you would have to give to them. So if someone is open to really, of course, they want some form of direction, and they're also willing to be involved. I'm really willing and open to that.
Okay, thank you so much, Maryleen. It's been a powerful session. I'm just reading the comments from YouTube now. I'm saying, oh, this is an interesting session. This is a powerful session. Please, if you're on YouTube, please give her a digital applause with your favorite emoji. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, take care.
So I also want to thank all the participants for joining in. And remember, we have another session at 6 p.m. Till then, stay safe.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.